Protesters in Thailand have surrounded several more government ministries, as street demonstrations continue in Bangkok. The protesters want Yingluck Shinawatra's government to resign, saying it is controlled by her brother, ousted former PM Thaksin Shinawatra. After a huge rally on Sunday, they marched to several Bangkok locations. Late on Monday, Ms Yingluck invoked special powers allowing officials to impose curfews and seal roads. Thailand's criminal court has issued an arrest warrant for former opposition Democratic Party lawmaker Suthep Thaugsuban, who has been leading the protests. The protests were triggered by a controversial political amnesty bill. The demonstrators say the legislation, which failed in the Senate, would have allowed Mr Thaksin to return to Thailand without serving a jail sentence for corruption. Thailand has been bitterly divided since Mr Thaksin was ousted in a military coup in 2006, and the proposal reignited simmering political tensions. Cut the power. Groups of protesters camped out at the Foreign and Finance Ministries overnight. On Tuesday, they surrounded the Interior, Tourism, Transport and Agriculture Ministries. There were around 1,000 protesters gathered outside both the Finance and Interior Ministries, blowing whistles and chanting "Get out." Reports said, "We have to leave because the protesters, will cut the utilities." Tourism and Sports Minister Somsk Purisrizk told AFP news agency. Akinat Pramfan, a protest spokesman, said, "We are occupying the Finance Ministry in a non-violent and peaceful way, so our supporters around the country can do the same and occupy all government offices. Tomorrow there will be a nationwide movement," he added. However, Theta Thavornsith, a leader of the Red Shirts, who support Mr Thaksin, told AFP news agency, "Mr. Suthep is not trying to throw out the government. He wants to throw out democracy and replace it with an ultra-royalist administration." The opposition Democrat Party has also started a censure motion in Parliament against the government, over its alleged misuse of the budget. The motion highlights an expensive rice subsidy scheme launched by the government after it took office. Under the scheme, the government bought rice directly from farmers, paying more than the market rate. India and Vietnam increased their share of global rice exports as a result, overtaking Thailand as the world's largest rice exporter. The government is expected to defeat the censure motion, since the ruling Pheu Thai party has a majority in parliament. But, with a timid and poorly trained police force, it is not clear how the government can reassert its authority, in a city where a sizable part of the population say they have lost all faith in their democracy. The BBC's Jonathan Head in Bangkok reports, "Mob rule." The protests are the biggest to hit Thailand since the violence of 2010, when red shirt opponents of the then Democratic Party government occupied key parts of the capital. More than 90 people, mostly civilian protesters, died over the course of the 2-month sit-in. A government led by Ms Yingluck and the ruling Pheu Thai party was subsequently elected, and since then Thailand has remained relatively politically stable. But the opposition accused Mr Thaksin of running the government from self-imposed exile overseas, and the now shelved amnesty bill has served as a spark for renewed protests. Ms Yingluck invoked the Internal Security Act late on Monday, but she said on Tuesday the government would not use violence to end the protests. "Everybody must obey the law and not use mob rule to upstage the rule of law," she told reporters. "If we can talk, I believe the country will return to normal," she added.